In this week's Behind the Wheel, Tony breaks out the Oregon Driver Manual.
Don't worry, he's not going over the whole thing, even though I'm sure he would love to. But there is a law all of us should know, but most of us have never even heard of.
The basic premise of most rules of the road is that there's a regulation to which you must comply. But there's one big exception. It's called the basic rule.
The basic rule surrounds speed violations.
But not the kind of speed violation you're thinking of. The basic rule says don't comply with the sign. Instead, apply common sense and drive at a speed that's reasonable and cautious for existing conditions on all roads at all times.
For example, this winter, if we're driving around and there's ice and snow on the road, the freeway speeds may be 55, but it may not be reasonable and prudent for you to drive 55.
Most rules of the road are very specific. For example, it's illegal to pass a school bus with flashing red lights. But the basic rule doesn't ask drivers to comply with the rule, but to apply judgment. And that's what makes the basic rule so unique and at times confusing.
And that's the key point to the basic rule, is you have to drive reasonable and prudent within the conditions that are present.
It seems kind of crazy, but violating the basic rule could get you a speeding ticket for going under the speed limit.
And oftentimes it's a big surprise to motorists.
I'm still stuck on the fact that we call it the basic rule, but it doesn't seem very basic.
No, the name doesn't match the rule, so to speak.
Well, tell that to the judge. In the meantime, I'm Tony Martinez, Fox 12 Oregon.
Tony, I have a great example. Yesterday afternoon at about noon, we had a heavy rain cell come through. On 26, a lot of people drive well over 60 into 70 miles an hour. That rain cell came through. We all slowed down to about 45 miles per hour.
Right, and because your common sense said, whoa, I've got to slow down.
Exactly.
Because that's where the common sense kicks into the basic rule. It's all right here, people, I promise. Let's turn to page 16 of your driver manual. Like if there's
Will there be snacks? Do we all sit around and listen while you read this?
Like if there's like a quarter mile of visibility, you know, you shouldn't be going 65. You probably need to go below that, maybe 30, maybe 45. But, you know, it just depends on the conditions. Again, it's judgment, which is a little bit different than just following the rules, which I know you all always do.
Here's another one. What if it's really foggy out? Shouldn't it be a law that you have to have your headlights on just to make yourself more visible?
There ought to be a law.
There ought to be.
There ought to be a law, indeed.
And there should be so many other things in life besides just driving to use common sense.
Well, they'll add a new one.
Yeah, there may be, actually.
You know what, we're used to getting Tony riled up on traffic stuff, but this one over here, I know.
Well, let me get in my fog-colored sedan and not turn the headlights on.
Thanks, Tony. Great information as usual.
Thank you.
Here we